What's up, everybody? I'm former quarterback Malik Rozier, and if football, sports interviews, and having a good time interests you, then make sure to click the like and subscribe button, as it really does help support this channel, and it also makes sure that you guys never miss a new video. We're going to go into the NIL laws with Nick Saban. There was some stuff that he talked about. There was some stuff that, Nick talked about along the lines of, what would he change in college football right now? And he really talked about NIL. You know, I really agree with him too. And some of the, the points I took away from him was that the portal is too open. So these kids, they come on to the school year. Let's say you're in high school, you say, hey man, we're gonna have all these people do NILs, we're gonna give you this, that, and the third. They get there, they don't like it, they still make their, 30, 40,000, maybe even more plus $100,000 a year. Then they bounce from school to school because they're looking for new NIL deals. It's almost like a quick cash grab to them with some excitement. And I think that the biggest way to do that is you minimize, hey, whenever you're a freshman, you're freshman and sophomore year, no matter where you're at, because most of the kids, if you're not playing, you're going to redshirt. So you're really only losing 1 year. Hey, buy your redshirt freshman year or true sophomore year. If you're playing your freshman year, after that year, you can transfer. And then it's open. If you want to transfer your junior and your senior, then redshirt and transfer your redshirt senior year. That still at least gives you 2 to 3 transfers. I don't think some of these kids need 4, 5, 6 transfers. I feel like at the end of the day, like, you got to find a fit. You got to stick it out. It's kind of like having a job. Like, there's going to be days when it's really good, there's going to be days when it's really bad. But at the end of the day, you found a job that you love. You found a place that you want to be at. So stick the shit out. Like, a lot of kids, they like it. They want to be there, and then when shit gets real and shit hits the fan, they don't know how to respond. They run in a hole. They transfer. They go somewhere else. Like, I'm trying to tell you guys, I've had coaches tell me that I was never going to play for them, and I either had to run from it or I had to say, I'm going to shut you up and I'm going to show you that you're going to have to play me. And so I feel like with the portal, it has allowed kids to run away from competition to a certain extent, but also run to it, in other universities. But also it allows to where it is very hard for, big companies that, only have sole ties to one university to do mega deals, long-term contract deals, because this kid has a bad year. He's probably leaving and now I'm out my money. So, I think that's something that the NCAA should definitely enforce, but I really think it should come from the school. You know what I mean? I think the NCAA should do a minimum of 2 years before transferring, but I think a lot of with, helping these kids get to and from NIL, especially major NIL deals, I think the schools should have at least the contracts in there and saying, hey, this is his requirements. This is one of the requirements, Bob, because the same way that, they have tutors, they have trackers, they have all these things for the school. Which one do you think is more important? The school, the classrooms, or the real people that are making millions and hundreds of thousands and hundreds of millions of dollars? It's like that connection that you might have messed up is just as or even more important than you going to class and learning about, I don't know, most of these guys are taking sociology. So learn about some definition, you know what I mean? So to me, I also think the school needs to help the kids be held accountable to the NIL contract so that, now you have the school that's helping, you have the, people and the companies and the CEOs that are now saying, hey, because I know that I'm going to, have these kids show up, I'm not going to be able to promote stuff. I'm not going to have kids miss or not be able to have rides or tell me last minute they can't do it. To me, I think it really, really helps, in the point number 4, return on investment. And a lot of these kids don't understand what an ROI is. And, most of the times when people do ROI, they want, at least 2 to 3 times the amount. So if I pay you $6,000, I'm going to want at least $12,000 to $20,000 in profit based on, how much I gave you. So that's a lot of stuff that, if the kids don't show up, if you don't do the marketing right, if you don't do what they tell you to do, it messes with a lot of their stuff. And so to me, I think if you add the school in, it really, really does change, the aspect of the NIL scene. And also, again, if you add the 2-year rule, now some of these bigger companies can come to a freshman and say, hey, I'm gonna offer you a 2-year deal, $200,000. You get $100,000 a year. Will you sign it? Yes, boom. So you at least know that you have them for those 2 years. And then from there, the kid can transfer, the kid can kind of do whatever he wants to do. But to me, I think the problem is it's very hard for big companies to jump on some of these kids when they don't know if the kids are going to be there for multiple years. So maybe I market you in Miami, then a year later, you're in Arizona, sell all the Miami stuff that I use for my marketing. I can't even use no more because you're not there. And so I think that's some stuff that definitely needs to get figured out in the NIL world, especially if, these kids want to start seeing more and more companies and more revenue come along. So next, we're going to move into a little Miami football. I had to talk about it. And to me, this is directed at the fans. One, I want to say I love you guys. I appreciate you guys for, always showing up, always being crazy. You guys are passionate. It's one reason that, I went to Miami was because I knew if you win, you guys would definitely rock the stadium. So to me, I think there's 3 big points for this year. Number one, be patient with Mario and crew. Again, this is a new staff. These guys are gelling. These guys are meshing. These guys are, as much as the coaches are coaching the players, the coaches are coaching coaches. You know what I mean? Because like all these coaches on the offensive side didn't come from Dawson's offense, but they all have to understand, Dawson and how he wants to coach it and what his instructions are. Now, I do think Dawson's smart enough to let, everyone have their little bit of like creativity and freedom on saying, hey, this is a little bit how we stem. This is how we want to do this or that. I think there's a little bit of that for the most part. They have to learn how Dawson wants to run his offense. So I think that's one big part. It's the same thing with Coach Goodry. Everyone has to learn his defense. Now, I will say his defense is very easy. It's quarters, it's cover one, it's a lot of man. So that's not that hard. But obviously, Gaddis' offense to Dawson's offense is a lot different. Yes, they probably have similar play concepts, but the formations, the motions, the shifts, different things like that can definitely add nuances. And probably the protections as well are probably a little different. I would say everyone has similar protections, but not everyone has the exact same protection that they carry inside each playbook. The next one is, do not look at this season based on win and losses. And yes, I know people from the outside would say, "Oh, you guys were 9-3. You guys had a great year. Or you guys were 6-6, and you guys are terrible." To me, and I know I'm gonna have a lot of fans tell me I'm wrong. I would rather have a 6-6 team that legitimately played hard, played fast. They had effort. And it was a tight ball game all the way through, and maybe we lost by like a field goal, or they just had a really good play. Like, to me, that's stuff that we can improve on and get better at. What I wouldn't want is have a 9-3 year where it's kind of like we had just had a whole bunch of lucky plays, or guys just dropped passes, or the defense didn't, or like their defense. Sorry, talking about like the other teams. If the other team defense or the other team's offense dropped passes, or the other team's defense, dropped 2 or 3 picks, which would have gave them possessions. Like, I don't want those kind of games. And I've been in those kind of games where it's like the other team has made enough mistakes that we just kind of squeaked on by. Everyone's hoorahing and saying a yay and good job. And yeah, at the end of the day, I will always take a win. I am a winner. Like, that's one thing that I at least love to do. But also, I think there's a difference between like winning and knowing you did everything that you did, and then winning just because the other guy was just bad. And that's not what I want. I think that, to me, over time becomes very deceptive. Again, like, I think that one of the best teams in the NFL to come up this year will be the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions, then yeah, they won some games, but you go watch the games they lost. They were hard fought. They were in those games. It was last minute. Those are the type of like teams that I at least legitimately respect, because you're not going to be better than everybody, and especially with the way Miami is built now, is yes, we are getting better. Yes, I am super excited to see this team. I definitely think that there are 3 or 4 teams on our schedule that, personally, I think we can beat, that some people kind of have as toss-up games that, I think as long as we do point number 3, which is improve each week and have the 3 E's, which is what I call effort, energy, and execution. Okay. The first E is effort. This to me just really means flying around. This, a lot of this is for the defense, or even, for the offensive guys that, running routes. A lot of times it is that effort, that little, hey, I know I'm tired, but I got to make sure that I put my head down. I do the 3 hard steps. To me, I think it's things like that separate the good from the great. The second E, which is energy, to me, this is about having positive energy. There's many times that you're up, times that you're down. To me, I think if you can have someone that, yes, they go a little bit up, but they kind of stay right here. They're that solid, that constant. When things are going good, they're going to be positive, but they're not going to be, extremely high. But when things go bad, they're also going to let it tank them. I think, that's the energy that we need. We need that constant, that positive. Hey, each play get better, each rep get better, each set get better, each series get better. To me, it's that constant positive energy. Hamilton can keep getting better and better. The last one, I think this is the biggest one, is execution. Do my job, be in my spot. Don't worry about anyone else. And at the end of the day, yes, if you're doing stuff and at the end of the day, yes, if you're doing stuff where you're tangoing, and you're, hey, when he comes in, I got him. If he goes out, you got him. Yes, you got to communicate. But if it's cover one man, like, do your job. If it's cover 3 and you have the flats, go to the flats. If it's cover 2 and I'm the safety and I have, half the field, get to my spot, get to my landmark, back up. To me, it's a simple part of saying, hey, I'm gonna do my job because I trust my teammates to do their other. I think that was one thing that, like, I really learned from a lot of Navy SEALs, that saying, hey, the only way that I could do my job right was if I basically trusted my life in my brother's hands to know that, hey, he's going to do his, so I got to do mine to the best of my ability. I feel like a lot of times when we're on teams, there's been teams I've been on that, like, they don't trust him. Yeah, he's a good player, but I know every once in a while he does make a mistake. So now in the back of my mind, I'm not trusting him. So now, I might try to help him out, and now I lose my responsibility. So, I think that's one thing too that we're really gonna have to get together on, is just trust, really execution, knowing that, hey, I got to do my job to the best of the ability, not only for myself so I can be good, But if I'm always doing my job, then the guy next to me knows that, hey, if Malik's always doing his and I always do mine, then you know what's going to happen. We're going to have a good team. And so I think half the battle is someone messes up, someone then tries to cover for them, and then that person's like, well, then you made a mistake because you were in the right position. And now it's like it kind of like just muddies everything up. Do your job, do the best of your ability. Yes, you help your brothers out, but at the end of the day, if you're doing your job, he'll pick up his slack. I promise you, that's usually how it goes. So the last topic that we're going to talk about is going to be the NFL. We had to go a little bit into it, and we're talking about a couple of different things. So number one, I personally think Rush is going to have a huge, huge year. He's with Sean Payton. I really like the Broncos. I like a lot of the talent they have around him, like Jared Judy. So I really think that the Broncos could have a good year. I also think that Rush plays a lot better with a chip on his shoulder. I think he gets pissed off. I think he really wants to prove himself. So I am excited to see how Russ and the Broncos can do this year. Number two, the Dolphins need Dalvin Cook. I don't care what y'all say. They need Dalvin Cook. To me, I think he's one of the elite top 5 running backs. He can catch out the backfield. He is very electric. He sees the hole very well. To me, I think the best thing about him is that he has vision and his ability to get hit. But it's to me, it's almost like he gets hit and he graciously falls. Like it's not ever like a hit and you just see him just get exploded. And so to me, I think that he could be a really, really good asset, for the Dolphins. I think that, if you go back and look at, the playoff games, even the Super Bowl, the teams that usually have the most rushing yard usually win the games. And so I think, adding him to the run game, especially with the receiver core that they have, is just going to be crazy, crazy dynamic. Number 3, will the Bucks be good? I don't know. I hope so. I'm here in Tampa. I really, really, really want to go watch some games. I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan. I watched him, at Oklahoma. Obviously, I saw a little bit of beef between him and Rodrigo Blankenship from the Georgia Oklahoma game. But I definitely think Baker has a chance. I think the biggest thing is him settling down. Finding his rhythm, finding his chemistry, understanding the offense. The guy's smart. He makes plays. He does a lot of good things. Obviously he has experience with the Browns. And so I think, with a team that has a better culture, and I think that, the Browns have been building a better culture, but at least when Baker was there, they had a terrible culture. Obviously now with the, new regime, a lot of the good players that they have now, Cleveland's a lot different. Shout out Bubba, David, Mike Harley, gang. But with the Bucks, I think that you had Tom that just left, so obviously have a really good coach. They just won a Super Bowl, so I think this could be a really good fit for Baker. But also, it's a lot of pressure, a lot of high standards, especially coming after legitimately to me the GOAT of all sports. You can say what you want. Maybe your GOAT is Michael Jordan. To me, has to be Tom Brady. The guy, he's just a blue collar quarterback. You know what I mean? He's not crazy athletic. He's not the tallest. He probably doesn't have the strongest arm, but he just beats you. He beats you with fundamentals, execution, and his brain. And to me, I think that is just applaudable. Lastly, Vikings will be in third place in their division. Sorry if you're a Vikings fan. I really don't care. I think that the Browns will bump them, to be honest with you. I think that, not the Browns, sorry. I think the Bears will wind up jumping them this year. I really do like Justin Fields. And I think that, the fact that they got rid of Dalvin, they won't have as good of a run game. And I know they have some other backs. And Dalvin to me is good. You say what you want. And I think that it's really going to affect the Vikings offense. And so I think they're going to want to be in third place this year. I know last year they came in first, but I don't think they're going to have the same team and the same dynamic. So thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate it. Remember, guys, we have 2 sponsorship spots available. They're $50 each. If you know someone, that's interested, please reach out to me on Twitter. It is just Malik Rozier 2. I really appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.